From space roar and the sound of crossing the rings of Saturn, all the way to unexplained radio signals coming from both within and outside of our Milky Way galaxy, here are the top 10 terrifying signals from space they don't want you to hear. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have space roar. You would think that space is silent, right? I mean, it's a vacuum, so it should be, but that is not the case. It is said that the entire universe is alive with sound, and there is a thing called space roar. Space roar apparently isn't an everyday sound and is rather these strange radio signals that scientists have detected throughout space. These signals are so loud that they are able to drown out other signals, which can be quite annoying for the scientists who are trying to study and learn. While we know what the sound is, we don't know where it is coming from. Apparently some people believe it was coming from the leftover radiation from early stars, and some others believe it is from the gases swirling around the galaxy in clusters, but at the end of the day, no one is really sure and it remains one noisy mystery. In our number 9 spot today we have light shifts. In 2015, a Penn State astronomer named Jason Wright explained that there were pretty erratic and spontaneous shifts in light that were coming from a star that was newly discovered. This star sits about 1,280 light years away from us on Earth, and these shifts were very similar to as if something was passing in front of our view of the star briefly before then passing through. Scientists weren't able to connect this to any exoplanets or anything like that, which we could understand, and this is what led Jason to quite an interesting theory. He stated that it is possible that the shifts are caused by massive objects passing in front of the star in a kind of orbit, like an array of massive satellites or a similar kind of structure. Like the type of thing that would be produced by an intelligent and civilized life form. You see where I'm going. In our number 8 spot today we have the lone survivor. This is an unexplained signal that was first detected in 2003 when astronomers were using a massive telescope in order to re-examine 200 different areas of the sky. I say re-examine because these were areas where there was once a signal that was detected coming from them, and they were taking a look back to see if they could detect the same signal again. During this re-examination they found that all of the signals had disappeared, well, all except for one. This signal didn't only stick around, but it got stronger. This signal is coming from between the constellations of Pisces and Aries, and the curious thing about this location is that it resides in a place where there are no known obvious planets or stars. To make things a little more mysterious, there are scientists who believe that the frequency this signal is in is the frequency alien life would be most likely to use if they were trying to contact us. I have no idea what leads them to that theory, but it felt too interesting to exclude. So while there are other possibilities of what these signals are or where they're coming from, it is quite an interesting piece of information and is something that definitely deserves a little more looking into. In our number 7 spot today we have the Milky Way radio burst. On April 28, 2020, 2 radio telescopes detected an intense pulse of radio waves, and they only lasted just a millisecond, but they left some astronomers astonished. The reason for this is because it was the first time a fast radio burst had been detected that close to Earth. The signal was located 30,000 light years away from Earth, which places it in our Milky Way galaxy. It also apparently was extremely difficult to miss these radio waves as well. The Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment, or CHIME for short, and the Survey for Transient Astronomical Radio Emission 2, or STARE-2 for short, explained that it was in fact so easy to pick up that CHIME wasn't even looking in its direction, and it was still so easy to detect because it was loud and clear right in their peripheral vision, and STARE-2 also saw it clearly, even though, according to Kiyoshi Masui, assistant professor of physics at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, it's only a set of a few radio antennae literally made out of cake pans. Well, it looks like whatever the cause for this signal, something or someone perhaps really wanted us to see it. Or maybe it's just a strange coincidence and is just part of the mysteries of space and our galaxy. In our number 6 spot today we have Saturn's rings. Saturn is well known for its impressive and stunning rings. I mean, they are the most extensive out of all of the planets in our solar system, and while seeing photos and diagrams is lovely, meeting the rings in person might not be so much of a pleasant experience. The rings consist of a ton of particles that range in size from micrometers to meters, and they are mostly made up of water ice, but they have some trace components of rocky material as well. In December of 2016, the Cassini spacecraft, which spent years studying Saturn and its icy moons, flew through one of these impressive rings, and the spacecraft's radio and plasma wave science instrument was able to pick up the sound of what crossing one of these rings sounds like. At first, it's just the regular staticky sound of being close to the planet. But then, as the crossing happens, things get a little louder and a little more rocky. The influx in sound is due to the particles bombarding the craft as it flies through the air. It is incredibly cool to hear this and get a bit of a closer look into what it's like to be near the planet, but it's also just another perfect example of how terrifying and relentless space can really be. In our number 5 spot today, we have the BLC-1. As astronomers were searching for the existence of life beyond our planet, they spotted something that piqued their interest. This was a radio signal that has yet to be explained that was coming from the direction of the star that is closest to the Sun, Proxima Centauri. The reason why this specific radio signal was so exciting and promising is because the star has at least 2 planets that orbit it, and one is thought to be temperate and rocky like Earth. The observations in which they picked up these signals took place between April and May of 2019, and they were detected by Breakthrough Listen, which is a decade-long search for alien broadcasts. They were using Australia's Parkes Observatory when they made the discovery. They explained that throughout their research, every now and then, finding something strange is expected, but this detection was more unusual because it was a strange discovery that required them to then begin planning next steps, which does not happen very often. In our number 4 spot today, we have the Lorimer Burst. This is a fast radio burst that was detected in 2007, and it was named after the person who spotted it, Duncan Lorimer. Well, actually, it was discovered when Duncan assigned his student David Narkevic to look through archival data taken in 2001 by the Parkes radio dish in Australia. After analyzing this data, it was found that there was a, quote, 30 Jansky dispersed burst that occurred on July 24, 2001. This burst was less than 5 milliseconds long, and it was located just 3 degrees from the small Magellanic Cloud. It still isn't quite clear what caused this signal, but it's thought that perhaps it might have been a singular event, such as a supernova. In our number 3 spot today, we have the solar system exit. What we're about to listen to isn't a real-time space recording, but it is an audiograph of the Voyager's plasma wave science observations that spanned several months between 2012 and 2013. The readings are important because this is the time when scientists believe that the Voyager left our solar system's heliopause, making it the first human-made object to leave our solar system. It's a huge step for science and space exploration, but the sounds that accompany it are anything but comforting. I mean, come on. That horror movie style shrieking sound on the way out into deep space isn't exactly what we want to hear. I'm not exactly sure what the source of the sound is, but let's just all hope that it isn't something sinister. In our number 2 spot today, we have the WOW signal. In August of 1977, there was a radio telescope at Ohio State University that detected a strange signal. The radio picked up a pulse of radiation that was super unusual and was coming from somewhere by the constellation of Sagittarius. The signal lasted for 37 seconds, and it has been commonly referred to as the WOW signal because of the fact that astronomers observing it were so shocked at the time that they wrote WOW on the printout from the telescope. This signal was so shocking because it was in a band of radio frequencies that are internationally banned on Earth. There are a multitude of natural sources for radiation in space that would cover a multitude of frequencies, so there are scientists who are skeptical that this could be proof of alien life, but skepticism doesn't mean it should be ruled out. Maybe this signal came from a huge astronomical event, or perhaps intelligent alien life with a very powerful transmitter who were trying to contact us. At the end of the day, the signal was detected in 1977, and we still don't know exactly where it's coming from or why it exists, so who's to say for sure. In our number 1 spot today, we have the Venus signal. For many years, we have been trying to figure out just how Earth and Venus turned out to be so different. Venus is Earth's closest neighbor, and they're quite similar in size and density, but that's about it, to be truthful. Venus has a thick, toxic atmosphere that is filled with carbon dioxide. There are thick yellow clouds of sulfuric acid that trap heat on the planet, which has caused temperatures that are hot enough to melt lead. It's the hottest planet in our solar system, and it's not even the closest one to the sun. That is all exactly why, during a brief swing by Venus, when NASA's Parker Solar Probe detected a radio signal that was signifying the spacecraft had flown through the planet's upper atmosphere, it was exceptionally interesting. This was the first direct measurement of the atmosphere of Venus in about 30 years, and it showed that it was significantly different from before. A new study published showed that Venus's upper atmosphere undergoes some interesting and confusing changes over a solar cycle, which is the sun's 11-year activity cycle. This could potentially give us clues as to how and why the Earth and Venus are so different. Because of the harsh climate on the planet, spacecrafts have only been able to survive at most for a couple hours there, so there is still so much mystery surrounding what exactly goes on Venus. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thank you so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!